Are you tired of the endless search for a miracle cure for your drinking problem? You know the ads. Miracle supplements, miracle bracelets, miracle hypnosis, all promising freedom from alcohol for a price. Here's the truth. In early sobriety, you're desperate. You'll try anything. I know, I've been there. But not every tool is a scam. Some ideas actually hold real merit. And today, we're going to talk about one of them, mindfulness. Hello and welcome to Second Act Sobriety. I'm Dr. Donald Crowe. I practiced medicine for 40 years, caring for alcoholics every single day, and wondering why they couldn't just get their act together. Ironically, I'd usually then go home, open a bottle of wine, then a second, thinking, what the hell am I doing? 28 years ago, I stumbled into sobriety, and now I've been sober for more than 10,000 days. My mission here isn't just to talk about getting sober. There's only one way to do that: stop drinking. My mission at Second Act Sobriety is to explore the thousands of ways to stay sober. Subscribe to the channel so that we can spread our message. And today, we're diving into mindfulness, not as a miracle cure, but as a real tool. In those first shaky days, you might spend money on anything that promises relief, any shortcut, any loophole that claims to beat alcohol. And let's be clear, most of it is garbage. If these miracle products really worked, you wouldn't just hear about them in the ads. You'd hear about them from sober people who swear by them. I've seen decades of fads, miracle pills, miracle bracelets, hypnosis, and they all fade away, leaving people broke, disappointed, and still craving. No wonder I'm a skeptic. But in the last few decades, I've become skeptical about my own skepticism. I've learned to balance skepticism with something I call active open-mindedness. Instead of automatically dismissing a new idea, I pause and ask myself, what if I'm wrong? What if I'm the one who's clinging to outdated thinking? That's how I began to examine mindfulness. And this word, mindfulness, has certainly been a buzzword across the media landscape. I'll admit, I have trouble defining it, and this caused me to shy away from it for years. So what is it? Strip away the hype, and mindfulness is simply the ability to live in the moment, to be fully aware of now. That's it. Not complicated, but simple doesn't mean easy. I've been sober for nearly 3 decades, and I still struggle to master it. But the few moments when I manage to stay fully present, they bring peace. Sometimes not joy, but at least relief. A break from the torment of the regrets about the past and the fears of the future. And if you're watching this in early sobriety, you know exactly what I mean. Your mind races with everything you did wrong yesterday and everything that might collapse tomorrow. It's exhausting. Mindfulness cuts through that, especially when combined with the other epiphanies of early sobriety. Here's one of the biggest revelations of my sobriety. I drank for a reason: to change the way I felt. Think about that. If drinking is about changing how we feel, that means something was already wrong with how we felt to begin with. For me, it was living against a backdrop of discomfort, and that discomfort thrived in the future or the past. It was a constant hum of anxiety about tomorrow or a corrosive regret about yesterday. Alcohol muted those feelings, at least for a while. Mindfulness addresses them at the root. Now, I'll be honest, I'm lousy at mindfulness. I'll start focused on my breath or the taste of my coffee, and 5 seconds later, I'm replaying an argument from last week, or bracing for some problem that hasn't even happened yet. At first, I thought this meant mindfulness could not help me. But here's the trick. Failure isn't failure. It's information. When your mind wanders, don't scold yourself. Ask yourself, where did it go? If it ran back to the past, what regret dragged it there? If it jumped ahead, what fear pulled it forward? Those destinations are clues. They reveal the real emotional drivers that make us uncomfortable, that make us want to drink. Your wandering mind becomes a diagnostic tool. Here's how this works in real life. especially for someone in early sobriety or just thinking about giving it a try. Start with honest self-examination. Ask yourself, where am I really spending my time? For every moment you are truly present, chances are you're spending far more ruminating over the past or anticipating the future. That's not just you, it's part of the human condition. But if you're trying to make a decision not to drink, examining those thoughts can help you make the right choice. Say you wake up after a rough night of drinking, the fresh hangover, the guilt from last night's words, the promises broken again. That's evidence, right in front of you, why alcohol is not working. When you catch yourself looking ahead, focus on the reasons you want to quit. That feeling of powerlessness as you reach for the second or third drink, the slurred words, the poor decisions. This exercise can make the present moment more bearable. And when you drift away, again, as you will, there will always be more evidence that not drinking is the right decision. That transforms mindfulness from an abstract theory into a useful strategy for sobriety, because striving to live in the moment forces you to examine why it's so hard to do so. Now, let's get practical. How do you actually do this? Mindfulness doesn't require a meditation cushion or incense. Start small. When you're agitated, look around and really see where you are. Let each sense speak to you. See what's in front of you. Hear the world instead of the narrator in your head, and feel the ground under your feet. When your mind runs off, as it will, don't yank it back. Follow it long enough to see where it's going. That's the diagnostic piece. I try to insert these breaks often. Ironically, my mini vacation is really just a trip back into reality, away from the fantasy world I invent for myself. And I've learned a huge part of that fantasy is my belief that I can somehow predict the future or perfectly interpret the past. It's hardest to reorient into reality when I'm stressed, but that's when I most need to grab the present moment. And I found that if you stack up enough of these moments, life becomes authentic. You can begin to embrace both the good and the bad without alcohol. Let me give you a personal example of when I realized the value of mindfulness. Early in my sobriety, we hosted a family Thanksgiving. I was wired with anxiety, wanting it to go well. I was also haunted by the disaster the previous holidays. I found myself wishing I had a drink to calm down, but on this occasion, I tried something new. I rocked back in my chair, looked around, and kept my mouth shut. And I just observed. Within minutes, maybe seconds, I felt a burden lift. For the first time that day, I wasn't rehearsing the future or replaying the past. I was simply there. It only lasted a minute, but that minute mattered. It told me, you don't need alcohol to survive this moment. This moment does just fine on its own. That was mindfulness in action. So, is mindfulness a miracle cure? No. Beware of anyone who says otherwise. But is it a valuable piece of the puzzle? Absolutely. Sobriety isn't about finding a single answer. It's about gathering puzzle pieces, different tools, different practices, and fitting them together into a life worth living. Mindfulness is one of those pieces. Not magic, not hype, just real, practical, moment-by-moment sanctuary. Here at Second Act Sobriety, we believe that giving up alcohol doesn't mean giving up anything real. It means opening the door to the life you deserve. Hit that subscribe button, check out these other videos, comment below, and I'll see you in the next one.